Hi, welcome into the Cinema 9 podcast. That's right. It's another lovely evening of film investigations, deep dives, commentary, analysis, thoughts. We're going to blow your mind. It's Cinema 9 podcast, cinema9pod at protonmail.com, Cinema 9 pod on all your favorite social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook page is always bumping. Travis posts some of the movies that he watches from time to time on there, and you can check in and see what he's been viewing. Travis, how are things in beautiful Hazel Park on a Thursday night? Cold night. It's been a cold stretch.
I'm happy with the cold. I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm a little disappointed that the snow keeps on hitting everyone but me, but I'm doing good. I'm happy, man. You know.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I love to hear that. Man. We are here live on the
internet.
It's wonderful to be here.
The internet.
Yeah, that's a good one. I thought we needed that one for the show.
Classic Rob.
So we don't have Eric here today. Eric is off being a father.
Yeah, Eric's a father now.
Yay!
Yeah, congratulations to Eric and Ange. Big love and big props to them. And we're doing a movie that's themed largely around fatherhood. So I guess it's good timing for him not to be here. But we got Luke stepping in. Thank you, Luke. I decided whenever Eric is gone and or there's an Eva Mendes movie, you should come on.
Yeah,
Wow.
Apparently, right?
Well, thank you for having me on. And I do appreciate it with the Eva Mendes context. That is important.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, man. It's your third time on the show. It all started a long time ago. Citizen Dildo started everything many moons ago.
Who could forget?
And then, who could forget it? And then Eric was up north, and you came on for The Other Guys, which was your choice, which you regretted. You felt like you were forced into it.
No, I just didn't feel like it was really. It wasn't fertile territory for a lot of critique.
Yeah. It's good for us to occasionally bring on comedy. Like we're pretty sparse on comedy, so it's nice to mix that up and down. I thought it worked out. It ended up being weirdly relevant. All the because it was like over the summer of all the reconciling with police brutality and stuff, and it's like, oh, these guys are shit cops.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Eric's here. Of course, Eric's checking in. Don't fuck this up, Luke. So, of course you are, Eric. We know you're auditing the show. Just auditing. So.
Yeah, no pressure.
So it's good to have Luke aboard, man. I mean, Luke, you love movies just as much as anybody. Do you remember the last time you went to the movie theater, though? How long has it been since you went to a theater?
I was thinking about that the other day. Can't remember. I remember seeing Get Out in the theater, but that was that 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
2017.
Yeah, that was almost 4 years ago. So had to be something else, but I cannot remember. What was the last big the last movie I saw in the theater, I just remembered, is the big Marvel one, the end of the Infinity War.
Endgame.
Endgame. That's what I saw. That was the last thing I saw in the theater.
Last thing I saw in the theater was 1917. I was really glad to see that in theaters.
That's why I'm not watching it on TV. I feel like it has to be in 40, and there's no way to. I mean,
it's still worth
or
seeing.
70 millimeter. It's all 70 millimeter, right?
Go to Aaron Worley's house, and it's basically like if you go to the house with the right setup, theatrical enough setup, you can do this movie at home.
Or you sit close enough to the TV where it's the edge of your vision,
right,
side to side on the TV.
Yeah, 2017 is that's a experience you need to have.
1917.
What did I say? 2017?
You said 2017.
Yeah. Well, we all had the experience in 2017. Yeah. It is a year.
I'm willing to bet everyone listening to this podcast experienced 2017. Email us at protonmail.com. Did you not experience 2017?
Yeah, check it out. Look, I wanted to make believe I was somewhere else.
Make me believe it.
Yes. So, anyways, I'm excited to be a part of the show with Luke today. Luke, we love having you on.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to talking about movies today. We got the main event, of course. Does it hold up? And it's Travis's choice, known as...
Yeah.
What's it called?
What? The place beyond the pines?
Yeah, I was setting you up for you to say it.
Yeah, thank you. No, the problem is, and I will do this, is that basically since I saw this in 2012, I have thought of it as the place between the pines, or the place between the pines. It's beyond the pines. I'm going to get it wrong throughout the entirety of the show. Just
that must have really fucked you up. That the whole opinion is different now.
It's like the Mandela effect. I don't know.
Thinking about Harris Yulin? Who's been thinking about Harris Yulin a lot?
I mean, I was thinking about him before we watched the movie, but I'm always thinking about Harris Yulin. You know, what's he doing right now? How does he smell?
Anyways, yes, we'll be talking about the place beyond the pines. That'll be the focus of our Does It Hold Up for today. And Eric's selection for next week will be revealed at the end of the show. It has been secretly emailed in a sealed envelope, courtesy of Price Waterhouse.
Gmail?
Cooper Price Water, whatever. Oh, Gmail. Okay.
Yeah.
But Travis will reveal Eric's selection at the end of the show. Anywho, quarantine viewing picks time. Travis, we know you watch movies, so it's time for you to share your quarantine viewing picks.
All right. Well, I watched some movies. We lost the great one, Christopher Plummer. Amongst our group of friends, we often would debate like who deserves to have great one status, and I feel like Christopher Plummer with his Christopher Plum ass. Christopher Plummer's career is just so, it's like it takes up almost the whole 20th century. It seems, I mean, like he's so omnipresent in so many important and good movies, and I feel like I should watch some of his movies that I hadn't seen before. So I dug into a couple that I hadn't seen, one that I'd heard of and never seen, and one that I'd never heard of and hadn't seen. The one I had never heard of was Beginners from 2010. He plays a 75-year-old man who came out at 71 and then dies. That's the premise of the movie. He's like, the movie's told in flashbacks, and his son, Ewan McGregor, is like dealing with his father's recent death. And it was really good. I enjoyed that one a lot. I also watched All the Money in the World, which, as I'm watching the movie, I always didn't watch it because I knew I would compare the performance to Kevin Spacey the whole time. But really all I thought through the whole thing was, why did they old up Kevin Spacey when they could have just hired Christopher Plummer in the first place? It just, like, why did they
lucked into it in the end? So
yeah. So that was a good performance. I don't know that it was a great movie. Ridley Scott, the man can direct, but it was very plotting. With double D's there. It was pretty slow. Amazing to find out just how accurate it was, though. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, this guy that he played, I forget his name already, but rich people are weird. I watched.
It was Getty, right?
J. Paul Getty.
Jay.
I watched Paris, Texas. I've actually got a little bit left to finish on it, but I'd never seen Paris, Texas before. Wow. It's fine to get that one. I had to get that one off the list. I enjoy elderly British men movies, so I watch Sometimes, Always, Never, starring Bill Nighy, because there's only so many movies of like he's the main guy, and I love me some Bill Nighy, and it was definitely worth catching. Good little family drama. I watched Blow the Man Down from last year, a pretty decent made for Amazon Prime movie. A really nice cast. It's getting a lot of recognition as it well should. I'm going to go ahead and recommend that one. I watched The Sisters Brothers, which Eric tried to warn us against, and he was right. For the cast that's in that movie, it just you got John C. Reilly, Riz Ahmed, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Joaquin Phoenix, and it's just like, how does it such a miss? But it really is quite the miss. And I also watched another miss, Bliss, from this year with what's his name, Luke Wilson. You've heard of him, and Salma Hayek. And how like sci-fi is great for revealing like a moment's anxieties and exploring things, and like maybe some like making some ethical points and that kind of stuff. It's great for all these things, but sometimes it's just like heavy-handed as fuck, and it's just like, Jesus, you are just like that. What's that Matt Damon movie where everybody's tiny, like Downside,
Downside, yeah,
where it's just like so like, oh, come on, man, like you're just really like beating into their heads like what you're feeling here. It doesn't work. So I'm going to tell you, go ahead and skip Bliss with Luke Wilson.
I love, more than I like movies
Owen Wilson?
that I'm supposed to watch.
It's Owen Wilson. Which one's the one with the nose?
Owen.
Yeah, it's Owen.
More so than I like getting recommendations for movies to watch. I equally like recommendations for movies not to watch. That helps me a lot. Saves me some time.
Hey, by the way, Travis, I wanted to ask you real quick. How do you feel about Gina Carano no longer being part of the Mandalorian?
Ooh, I read a story about that today.
I feel like if you're gonna go out in public and spread a bunch of lies, controversial lies, and be transphobic, the marketplace of ideas says we don't have to give you our fucking money anymore. So, adios.
Luca, what you read an article you said about it?
Yeah, normally it wouldn't. It's a clickbait, Normally it's not something I would click on, but since the podcasting stuff, I was like, who knows? Maybe this will be interesting. I had no idea she's a raging idiot. So I guess I assumed that she was probably not smart, and she's a terrible actor. That's the other thing. She was in was it Haywire, the Soderbergh film, and it was hard. There's merit to using people who are not professional actors regularly, and I found it almost impossible to not think about that. She was one of those people that's so bad at it and just so wooden and non-charismatic that it's very machine-like that I kept thinking about that while watching the movie. Whereas like Soderbergh usually is, everything is very seamless and super smooth, and that's part of his overall kind of style. But yeah, if I didn't think she was a great actor. I didn't think anything of her. Didn't even know she was in The Mandalorian because I don't watch that. And then I just caught that story and I was like, I wonder why she would get fired from something like that. Given
you fired.
Yeah. So
this is what we do. This is who we are.
I pressed the wrong button. Was that Dobus? Shit, sorry.
That was Dobus P.
I was supposed to be a joke about we can't predict the future, and I'm sure that Gina Carano probably wasn't thinking about the future when she said some of these silly things that she said. And
she could have thought about the present. She was already like a famous figure, and you're going to go out and be like, "Hey, stop the steal," this is what's going to happen. She's like anti-vaccine and shit. Like, and like if you were a great actor on top of all of that, then maybe,
maybe, yeah. I see what you're saying. Oh, here's the one. Yeah, this is what Gina Carano was thinking when her posts were revealed, and then people responded.
Who the hell are you?
We came to wreck everything and ruin your life.
And now there you are. You're with no longer having an acting job. So maybe think about what you post before you go out there. Not that I agree with anything she said either. It's just dumb. It's just why? Why do you have to have your opinion expressed? Why do you have to have your opinion expressed? Or
I think everyone's entitled to express their opinion regardless of their level of celebrity. But
no, you have a public job. It's not like you work at the local Costco and nobody knows who you are.
Right. Like if you have controversial opinions, you don't have to spout them off. You could be like, well, people are going to hate me if I say this shit. I should probably just write this in my diary.
Yes, exactly. And if people are on the goddamn internet are always going to tell you, hey, this is our opinion and we're going to give it to you. Fuck that. Just shut up. Image and acting are always going to be intertwined. There's no way. You're never going to remove image from acting as long as it's like mainstream movie making. It's just not how things work.
It's a fairly fundamental component to all acting.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I mean, he's a musician first, but also very deliberately and good. Like, it's good that he's canceled Marilyn Manson, adios as well. I mean, clearly these allegations are just like nonstop piling up. It's just pretty obvious that this dude is bad guy. So there's another one.
Wait, well, he's been off my radar for a minute. Meaning 20 years.
But he made.
So what happened?
Look,
hold on. I'm sorry.
No, let's not even go here. This is a movie show. But I understand. Okay. Travis was making
he's an actor, and he's got many very credible allegations against him. There you go.
No, right. Look, I'm not dismissing what the allegations are at all. I'm just. He made a career off being a fucking weirdo and like counterculture. I don't know. It's fucked up. There's a whole complex story. I'd kind of like to have a discussion about that. Maybe off air, but anyways, not cool. Don't be cool to people.
We could do it on the other podcast.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, Travis, why don't you come on?
We'll bring Travis on.
We could have had Travis on as a guest.
Damn it!
This past week, so We didn't think about that.
Next time.
But we also have 4 guys, so we figured, we still got 3. There's more than enough, So if one guy sits out, that's what the main thinking was. Anyways, yes, don't treat people like shit. Be kind to others. Make sure you
watch movies.
Watch films, but respect people's boundaries. Respect people's spaces.
Yes.
What have you been watching, Luke?
Well, yeah. So what I've been watching recently, out of nowhere, just decided what the hell, put it on. It was Veronica Mars, and I don't know if anyone has seen this, but it's great. It's such a capsule. It's such a time capsule. It's just 90s perfection. I know this was kind of like in the early 2000s, but it's like the entire everything that is. All the style of it is so indicative of that. So I guess it evokes a lot of nostalgia. So that's probably a big reason I like watching it. It's just kind of comforting, but I would say it's one of the best written shows that I've seen, especially like a network television show. And you can do a lot worse than Kristen Bell. She's great. She's spunky and fun, and the whole thing is kind of like a metaphor. It's got they use high school as just a microcosm for society in general. So all the different levels, the principals, and so on, they just represent different levels of the hierarchy that we're all used to. So it's interesting because it feels super melodramatic, but it's not when you just kind of get used to the satire part of it. So it's not melodramatic. It's not like, these high schoolers are so melodramatic. It's like it totally works. You just take them out of high school, put them in a different context, and it would be an awesome like noir series. I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I'm like addicted to it.
Wow. I like Kristen Bell.
Sick fuck.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's super nice. Hopefully she doesn't have any credible allegations against her. I'd be very upset.
Well, we'll put her on the pile with the rest. Fuck it.
That's right. Fucking bink, you're out.
I like The Good Place. She was great on that.
Yeah, her husband's Dax Shepard. They live in Milford or whatever. And
that's right. Cool. Yeah, they are Michiganders.
Dax Shepard makes mistakes sometimes, but we're all human, right?
He seems like a real sweet guy, though.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna go make friends with him.
Well, his mistakes are like, he partied too much. He had fame when he was like, he was young and hot and had tons of money. So he had nothing to. Yeah,
accidents happen, right?
I would literally be surprised if he had none of those problems and was squeaky clean. I would probably be more concerned.
You been watching anything besides Veronica Mars, or?
Yeah, I was trying to think of a movie, but I watched Dragged Across Concrete not too long ago, and it's a slog, but it's an incredibly reactionary film, but it's probably one of the most honest films I've seen in a long time. And he did Bone Tomahawk. Travis, I remember the main reason S. Greg Zoller was on my radar was because of you mentioning Bone Tomahawk probably 5 years ago.
So good.
Just randomly on Facebook or something, and I still haven't seen Bone Tomahawk.
I still haven't seen Dragged Across Concrete, so we're even.
I would definitely recommend that. But Brawl in Cell Block 99
that's fantastic.
It's unbelievally good. It's incredible. So I watched those back to back, and I'm telling you, I needed like a stiff drink after, and like I had to go for a walk and read a Hallmark card. I just needed to calm down. Very intense.
This asshole.
Very intense. Very.
I don't know this guy.
Very good.
So. But I've heard you guys talk about Bone Tomahawk, so. But I don't.
He's a writer director.
I mean, it's got famous right wing reactionary actors Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn. So it's fucking sweet because they're all in on the script. So you're just watching them really play guys that they really always wanted to play. I feel there's such an authenticity in that.
Pull your head out of your ass.
It's recommended. But it's a slog. It's a slog.
Is it though?
Not a late night movie.
You just liked it though, right?
That's good to know. I never saw it. Are you listening to us at all?
God damn.
I'm
Be in the
testing
now.
you.
Quit dropping drops. Be in the fucking moment.
It taxes your
patience.
patience. It taxes your patience, but it's great.
It taxes your patience.
I saw Richard
was a
Jewell.
slog.
That was amazing.
Richard Jewell?
Mike kind
Yeah.
of turned me off that one. I really like the lead actor. You know, what's his name? I thought he was really
The guy
great
from
in
Saginaw.
Yeah, but the movie, like, it sounds like it was kind of hagiographic, right?
Well, look, in that movie with Richard Jewell,
And that's a real shame when folks be throwing away a perfectly good white boy like that.
wasn't fair what happened to him, dude. He got kind of screwed. He really
I
did.
know that.
Nailed it. Is it pronounced Bill Nighy or Nye? I always
Nighy.
wanted.
I was
Nighy?
Nighy.
I thought it was Nighy. I can't say I've like written him a letter and asked him.
The end is Nye. I remember the end is Nye in Superman 2. There was a sign. That's where I first heard
Was it
the
spelled?
word Nye.
Was it spelled the same way?
N-I-G-H
Probably not.
only. And Nye.
Right.
So Nye
Any-
High.
God, that just still doesn't.
Nye
make
High
sense.
nylons. All right.
But the other thing that I watch from time to
Mustard
time
bun?
is I'll go through Amazon Prime and they've got just the full treasure trove of all the BBC shows, and it's basically just a Bill Nye, just
Yeah.
the whole gamut. Every single show from the BBC either has Bill Nye or like other people, like just people you don't recognize, but he's in everything. And so I've watched like 3 murder mystery shows that he's on. They're all basically the same and they're all basically serviceable and good. But what vexes me is I can never remember the names. I'll go back. I can't remember the names from day to day. I watch episode 1 and 2 on day 1. I go to watch it the next day. I can't find it. So I like reliant on, continue watching categories. If I don't have that, I can't even find it. But he was in, if I remember, I will send it over, but it was actually fairly good. Murder mystery with Bill Nye. You can't go wrong. Come on. It's fantastic.
Sounds great. I'm interested. All right. That cover it for you, Luke?
Yeah, that covers it. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this week, of course, I watched The Place Beyond the Pines, which we will talk about in a moment or so.
Oh shit. Are we supposed to watch that?
I watched Yes Man again. I just love watching Yes Man. It just makes me feel good. It's a funny movie. It's interesting. It's entertaining. It's got good actors. I don't know. I really feel like it's underrated. It's an underrated comedy of the 2000s. So.
It's kind of underrated, but it's actually terrible. We talked about this. It's fine, but you're rewatching it.
I am. You're right.
I think
You
this is what I
did.
don't understand.
I mean, I've rewatched it a few times myself. I feel like it's
I guess you need a fun laugh.
yeah. I mean, I can't sit here and be like, oh, it's cerebral, but that's not what you want all the time. It's just a nice. It's a
Yeah,
nice.
otherwise you just become insane.
Yeah, it's just a nice distraction. You got the classic Luis Guzman, jumper scene. It's good. It's good. It's classic.
That's a fun.
What
one
did
to
I
see.
see in Journey to the End of the World 2? Luis Guzman is in that.
Tough times. Things
Not terrible at all. It also stars The Rock. But anything with Luis Guzman is watchable in my opinion. Sorry, Mike, I interrupted you.
Yeah, you did. No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Yeah.
No.
See you next week. No, man.
I love his buddy in that. What's his name? He's got 3 names.
I always forget that dude's name. He played
something.
David Letterman fucking forever ago in
Yes.
Night Shift.
He's got
in-
3 names. I know that.
Yeah, he's great. He's in like all the fucking stuff with Christopher Guest and stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's in The Breakup. Yeah, he's everywhere.
He's great.
No
idea what his name is.
And Luke.
White guy.
Yeah, white. John Michael Higgins. There it is. John Michael Higgins, sir. So, Luke, it's funny that you're on the show because this happened before I knew you would be guest hosting, I swear. So this is fortuitous in a way, and what a lucky break for us. I fired up a movie I had not seen since we shared our home together in Oak Park back in 2015, and
Man, great days.
it's a movie that kind of came and went, and you don't really hear about it. It's got a big-time director. It's got a big-time star. It's about international affairs. It should be on the radar, but I never hear people talk about it. And that movie is good old Black Hat. Remember Black Hat?
I was gonna guess Black Hat before you said that. I was gonna
Well,
say
you should have said something. You could have said something. I would not have stopped you. but
I
you
was
didn't.
I was going to say Black Hat. That
I mean, friend of the show, Brian Madison, who I believe he claims this is the worst movie ever made, if I recall correctly. Black
that's
Hat.
very
Is
incorrect.
that what he said?
He's gonna check in him. He'll have to check in himself. But I feel like someone told me that this is like one of the worst movies ever made, so I just never watched it.
Directed by Michael Mann,
Yeah,
That is so
starring
incorrect.
Chris Hemsworth
right.
and Olivia Davis.
Olivia Newton-John.
Viola Davis. God damn it.
It's Olivia Newton-John.
Pronounced
Get it
Newton-John.
right.
Was I thinking of Octavia Spencer? And sometimes I mix up because they're in the
Viola
Help together.
Davis and
I-
Octavia Spencer. Yeah, that's
they were in
possible.
ever since they started in the Help together, it messed me up in their names. But Viola Davison, it's interesting. I didn't like it, Travis, when I saw it when me and Luke lived together. I remember arguing with Luke about it, like, this movie sucked and it was lame. It's about Black Hat. It's about fucking
About a hacker.
underworld hackers and all the world of being a bad dude on the internet and trying to take advantage of stealing and yada yada yada. So I watched it
Yeah,
this
well,
time.
I mean,
and I kinda liked it a little bit
global
more.
financial markets are and it's all digital. So being somebody
It's probably
being
more
somebody that
relevant
can being somebody
This
that
was
can
6 years ago.
Was it worse?
hack into the mainframe is probably the best skill you could have.
Was it worse or better than The Net?
Ooh, man. That's tough.
That's
tough.
not tough.
It's
That
tough.
is
But I'm not going to
tough.
see it.
It's not tough. No, compared to, come on.
I would.
No, Black
I
Hat
want
is
you to
just-
see it, Travis. I'm going to recommend
Watch
this
it.
movie because originally
Watch it.
I didn't like it, but then on the second viewing 5 years later, I found it to be more enjoyable, and it's also an incredible undertaking. I wonder how much money they lost on this film because it's filmed like in Jakarta and in Malaysia, and this movie goes all over the world in China, and there's the help in the thank
All
yous
these
at the
places-
end credits. They're thanking all these hardcore, like they're listing all these people, like NSA intel people, and like they really tried to probably get his, because Michael Mann, he likes to try to get very detail oriented and
yeah.
be direct and honest about
He
the
practically
facts.
became a cop for like 10 years just to write a couple cop movies.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So
But all
I'm gonna
the
recommend it.
places you just mentioned, I don't think any of them seem like expensive places to go shoot a movie. You say Malaysia, China.
Who can
this
afford to go
this
to
shit-
Jakarta?
This shit
Yeah,
seems like
these are
there's a
on
lot of
location
tax
shit.
havens. It kind of seems like a lot of tax havens, though. You're going to get a huge discount when you go shoot in Malaysia.
maybe that.
I mean,
okay,
come
maybe
on.
there's. I haven't looked in the tax havens on, Jakarta.
I don't know. I just I know if you shoot
Yeah,
a movie in South Carolina, it's cheaper to shoot it there than it is on a studio lot in LA.
I know
So,
that Michael Mann probably can't make a worse movie than Last of the Mohicans, so I should probably watch it.
That's fucked up.
Whoa.
Cannot believe
By
you
the
would say
way,
that.
this is
I
a
said
good
it
point,
just for you.
Travis.
I know you
Five-
did.
Black Hat has a 5.4 rating on IMDb.
Yeah, this just shows. Okay, so does the average Joe really reflect your movie taste?
Oh, I would no, not necessarily.
Okay,
But
so
sometimes, but
who gives
how
a
about
fuck?
I define myself by others.
Who gives a
Yes,
fuck? Yeah,
right. Luke, it gives people a baseline so they can make their own choices independently.
know,
but,
I know.
the
What I'm-
trends. I would say trends. There are movies that are poorly rated. Like I love Freddy Got Fingered. That movie's shit out. I love it. So you're right. Yes,
Mordecai.
exactly.
Well, Travis, did you like Miami Vice or did you not like it?
I didn't see Miami Vice either. I kind of like Michael Mann. I obviously like Michael Mann, but he's not the god.
Last
to
week
me.
you said Heat was your all-time favorite
It
movie,
is.
but
It is. I love
What?
Heat is my favorite movie,
In
but
the
but
fuck?
Michael Mann is not my favorite director.
Doesn't
I
matter. You watch plenty of bullshit, right? You just
Yeah, I watch
we
all
all do.
kinds
We
of
watch
bullshit.
bullshit.
But you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to watch an up-to-date adaptation of Miami fucking Vice. No, thank you. Couldn't
Wow.
be less interested in that. I mean, Black Hat,
Because that-
okay, I might
Well,
check
hold
it out.
on. How about now? That movie.
Hey guys, you see that gritty remake of Magnum PI? Fuck you. I'm not watching
Dude.
that shit.
Okay, that's
But-
we were talking about like a TV edit. We're talking about it's a bona fide. All right, it is a
bona fide.
great movie. It's a great movie.
Miami Vice is a great movie.
Personal opinion.
Luke fucking loves Miami Vice. So let's not go on a Miami Vice tangent here, Luke. I know you
Yeah.
love it, and if people don't know, Luke loves Miami Vice.
Thank
and he
you.
actually sold me on it. I didn't like it the first time I saw it. Again, And then I watched it with him when we lived together, and I liked it a little bit more. Miami Vice is better than Black Hat, I will say that. And Michael Mann was one of the original creators of the TV show as well, so it wasn't like he just...
No, I know that.
Like,
I know.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm just trying to sell it. I don't really want to sell it though. I mean, who cares? So.
I mean, again, like I do love Heat, but I don't feel like obliged that I have to watch everything the man made just because I like that movie.
True, but what about Public Enemies? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Wasn't crazy about it.
Okay, you weren't crazy about Public Enemies. I would say try Vice. I think Vice you probably like better than Public Enemies. I think you'll like both of those better than you like Black Hat.
Dude, I didn't really
think they're all
that much. Like
Collateral. What about Collateral?
Collateral was pretty good. Yeah.
So what he did is he was the first major Hollywood director to dedicate fully to digital. So Collateral is the first in that series. So it's Collateral that it's
we did talk Rules of Attraction recently. I don't know.
Is that all digital?
Head out of your ass.
Yeah, it's all digital.
Yeah. It was one of the first. We talked about that in the show.
Yeah, anyways, I guess it would have to be.
Okay, this is not the Michael Mann show.
All over the
Luke
place.
loves Michael Mann. Move on. Live it. Love it. I like Michael Mann too. I do. So
Live it,
if we had to rank the three of us, Luke, you could be first. I'll be second, and Travis will be third in terms of our Michael Mann fanship.
I can live with that.
I don't know if did I mention this last week. I don't think I did. I think I watched it in between the last episode. It's called Sugar. It's a 2008 film about a baseball player.
Heath Ledger?
No, it's a Bowden and Fleck directed movie, which I didn't know that they directed it. I wanted to watch it because there you go, Captain Marvel.
Who
Bowden
are these people?
Bowden and Fleck, they directed Captain Marvel.
Anna Bowden and Ryan Fleck. They did Mississippi Grind. They did Half Nelson.
That's it.
Captain Marvel. This movie I'm talking about now, Sugar.
Yeah. Okay. It was good.
Yeah, it's a really underrated baseball film, but more than that, it's a good movie. But in terms of lexicon of baseball movies like Field of Dreams and The Natural and all this kind of like over the top, too big for my britches type movies that I don't like as much. Although I do like The Natural, but Field of Dreams sucks. This movie's great because it's super authentic. It's about a Dominican who's trying to make it to the major leagues, and most of this movie's in Spanish with subtitles and stuff. So prepare yourself for that. But I think it's a really underrated film with a bunch of people you've never heard of. There's nobody in this film that you would know, and I wanted to really recommend Sugar this week. It should be mentioned in some of like top 5 baseball movies of all time. Should definitely be in that discussion. It's by Bowden and Fleck, and I had no idea that they were even involved in it. So.
All right.
There you go.
Good to know.
That's it. And all right, Luke hated it so much, he's like, I can't do this. There it is.
Who?
Who the fuck? Yeah, who
Who the fuck is this asshole?
Exactly. Nobody knows who they are. All right, Luke. It's okay. We won't talk about Bowden and Fleck anymore. I promise. Okay?
Oh, that's fine. I accidentally left the studio for a minute, so.
Well, we all need a break, Luke. It's okay. There it is. Those are
background. I don't know how to do that.
Well, you have to have a green screen, dude.
An actual green screen?
He's got an actual green screen.
And lights. Yeah, I mean, look
and
around.
He's all set up to go.
What is with Zoom? Zoom only, or it's not Zoom. Sorry, this is a special. Like. Yeah. Okay.
We're really showing the people. We're showing the people how the sausage is made right now.
I know.
Oh, look at that.
Breaking the fourth wall.
There he is. Anyways, so check out the. Cinema9pod at protonmail.com for any email questions or thoughts. And of course, check out our Facebook page. We got a lot of action going on there. It's a lot of fun. Right. We get some good interaction. And you can, if you missed the pod and you want to watch us on video, you can always rewatch it anytime on that Facebook page or the YouTube channel. It does exist. We don't really promote it that much, but it's out there. And if you want to, some reason you want to see us, I don't know why people want to do this. I really don't get it, but this is how society works now. People like to look at people talking, even. I don't either.
I can't imagine sitting down to watch a podcast. I listen to all of it while I'm doing things.
Yeah, so anybody listening here and watching, you're scum.
Luke is not part of the show. Reminder that he's not actually on the show.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak for us. He's just here.
All thoughts of Luke Hoorelbeke are independently of his own volition.
We love you. We don't think you're scum. We just don't personally watch podcasts.
Yeah, we love what you do and who you are, man. That's why you're on the show. Thanks so much for doing it. Really appreciate it.
You got to put a face to the name, though. Sometimes it's great.
This is who we are.
All right, so now it's time, guys. The main event.
Oh yeah, let's get into it.
I'm ready. I never saw this movie before, and it is called The Place Beyond the Pines, not between Beyond the Pines.
Beyond
Not to
Earth.
be confused with The Tree of Life, which came out a year before this movie.
Right, or
which
Between Two Ferns. Don't be confused with that either.
Yeah, don't do that either. That's right. It's time to talk about Ryan Gosling, and Ray Liotta, and Bradley Cooper, and Rose Byrne, and Evan Mendez. We got a whole list of people in this movie.
Mendelsohn, Dane DeHaan. The list just keeps going.
It's a beautiful list. We're here to
Harris,
talk about it. Luke is our special guest today. He's going to bring his knowledge and expertise on films. It's going to be a good one. Usually we start in our classic fashion. We take ourselves back in time, which wasn't that long ago, 2012. 9 years ago, depending on what month it was. And Travis Roy. Did you see this movie in the theater? Or was this like a rental later on or a streaming service?
No, I saw this in theaters because, I love Blue Valentine. I thought Blue Valentine was so good, and I'm a big Gosling fan. So both of them teamed up again. I was eager to see this in theaters, so I did, and I watched it again. I think after it came back out, like when it came out on DVD, just kind of be like, yeah, I like this still. And I hadn't watched it since. I had forgotten a lot of it. So it was really one that, like, I was like, does this hold up? It wasn't like that I had like this deep attachment to. It's more like I remember I liked the movie, and then I was like, I've been meaning to watch this again for a while. Let's just throw in the fucking podcast. See what happens.
Wow. Okay. So this movie was viewed by you in a theater. And that's right. It was a follow-up to Blue Valentine. How do we say his last name? Cianfranchin?
I think it's Cianfrance, but I don't know. That's
Derek
Cianfrance?
Cianfrance.
Derek Cianfrance.
Yeah, not trying this one. It's
Derek Cianfrance. Luke.
Cianfrance sounds funnier, so let's go with that.
Luke, do you remember when this movie came out in 2012? Did you see it in the theater then, or did you catch it later on? Give us your story on this.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like the style of the film is so deeply moving just in general that I assumed that I had seen this. I was convinced just based on trailers. The trailers I remember being very absorbing. I remember being very excited to see it. I never did. So like you, Mike, this was the first time I actually had the opportunity to see this film.
Really?
So sadly, not in a theater. I bet you it would have looked amazing because it's one of the most starkly beautiful films I've seen. I just recently saw it. So I saw it a couple of days ago, and that's my story of watching the film.
Oh, we're definitely doing things a little differently this time than to have only one.
Yeah.
Of us. This is the first time I think only one of us will have seen the movie.
So in terms of the does it hold up part,
do you like this movie or the new podcast?
No,
exactly.
Look, that's exciting. I never saw this movie in the theater, and I remember coming out, I was excited. I was like, oh, wow, look at all those people. I got to see this for sure. But for some reason, I never pressed play. I don't know why. I just never pressed play. It's just a silly thing. Like,
what happens?
That's it. I mean,
it happens a lot with films, I think, that might be masterpieces or something. It's almost like I'm not ready to sit and really absorb something, so I put on some bullshit I find.
You nailed it, dude. That's exactly why I'm like finally sitting down to watch Paris, Texas. I'm like, I'd always heard so much about this movie that I was just like, I'm saving it for the right moment. I don't know what the fuck I was doing.
Yes.
Like someday I'm gonna sit down and watch this movie, and I bet I'll really like it.
I actually made a fucking note that this reminded me of a Vendors film. So I think that's hilarious that you're watching Paris, Texas right now.
That's funny.
Woohoo! Well, on the show is over.
Too.
Yeah. Hey, I've actually never seen Paris, Texas either. I've actually seen 5 minutes of it when I was like 8 years old, but I've not seen the film to really.
How is that even
itself.
possible?
Because society has its own pockets and corners. You can disappear for a long time, Luke.
You can walk through a room while your parents are watching the movie, is what he's trying to say.
Exactly. HBO, a lot of movies.
That's
on
an
HBO.
odd one for DiBiase and Michelle. That's all I got to say. I would be surprised if.
This was pre-DiBiase.
If they were watching Paris,
like late 80s. Because that movie came out in what, 84?
84-ish.
Yeah, this would have been pre-DiBiase, like late 80s, right before Deebs showed up.
Pre-Deebs.
Anywho, this is not about Deebs. This is about The Place Beyond the Pines. And
this is all about the ecstasy of Schenectady.
Luke, do you know, you want to guess the rating on IMDb? Because this is what we usually do. We always have a little fun guess, Luke.
Guess
a 1
on
out of
IMDb?
10 rating system, in case you didn't know. So.
I would say the rating on this one is 7.8.
7.8. Did you look, Travis?
I did not.
right.
I'm gonna guess high as well. I'm not gonna guess that high. I'm gonna guess 7. I'm gonna just say 7.
A hard 7. Okay. Well, Travis wins because it's a 7.3. And that's with over 247,000 ratings. So
That's a lot.
Not bad. Interesting. Rotten Tomatoes. We always go over there too. Luke, do you love Rotten Tomatoes?
No, I'm indifferent.
You're indifferent?
Well, I don't love it or hate it. I mean, it is.
I
what
thought you'd
you
hate
can-
it or something. I thought you'd have like a passionate response. That's
I
fine.
mean,
You don't have to.
maybe 10 years ago, I probably would have picked that as something to skewer or some form of a straw man, but I don't really care anymore. I mean, it is what it is. We know what it does. We know what it provides.
It is what it is. You don't hear that on the show very often, do you?
We are who we are.
This is what we do. This is who
What
we are.
do. This is who.
Sorry, you said that's what we are.
Are we guessing
I did.
Are we guessing
You
at
did.
how rotten or how fresh?
No. Oh, wait. Yeah, for some reason we don't guess that. I just give you that. It's 78 and 75. 78 for the critics, 75 for the audience. A very tight score, so there's balance between
Fresh,
the-
right? Not rotten.
It's fresh. That's
Sorry, I
think-
don't know. Yeah, okay.
I
wasn't sure how to
What
read
is it,
that.
Travis? Is it
Guaranteed
50% or
fresh.
better?
I think it's 70% or better, 60%.
I thought it
No,
was
because I've
50
seen
I thought it was a
60s that are
50-50
red. I think
thing.
it's in the
I'm
60s
not
somewhere,
sure.
but
I don't know.
who knows? It's all a bunch
I
of
don't put as much
stupid.
stock in Rotten Tomatoes as I do MDub.
Oh, interesting. That's good to know. So, anyways, we give you the ratings and the critics' opinions on a film that came out 8 or so years ago. Sean Burns of the Improper I'm not kidding. The Improper Bostonian. The Improper Bostonian. That's what it says. So is this guy like? Aren't all Bostonians improper? I don't know. Anyways,
God.
Derek Chanfranche could probably be a great filmmaker if he wasn't trying so hard to be a great filmmaker.
Fucking the wisdom in Boston, I'll tell you.
Here's a guy I do respect. We don't always use his, but I like when he checks in. Wesley Morris. I like him a lot. He's a great critic. He's worked at Grantland, New York Times. He's all over. What Chanfranche has written has scraps of surprise and a fine chase sequence, but it doesn't reach for the stars or the emotional cosmos, or at least it doesn't know how to get there.
Jeez, dude, that is so funny because the standard set by the filmmaker is the potential of reaching the cosmos. That's how there's something so just infinite or like eternal about the way the thing looks and the way it moves that this guy is pissed off that like the movie he sat down was so much better than he could have imagined, and then got pissed off that it didn't hit the cosmos. What is that? What movie is it? Are we literally talking about 2001: Space Odyssey? It's the only thing I can think this guy has in his head.
Wow.
How fucking
How about Tom Long from our local paper, the Detroit News? Pines is hearty stuff, but it's at its toughest when Gosling's on screen.
At its toughest. Well, that's easy to. I mean, he
I
plays
read
his
that.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's by the way, that's a fresh tomato review. I don't.
Yeah, it
really-
doesn't sound like a bad one. I mean,
I read his review. Yeah, it's
Kind of
after I wrote my notes. I try not to pollute my mind. But yeah, that's fine. That's fair.
Sure.
That's fair.
Do you know Tom Huddleston of Time Out? Not Tom. This is Tom Huddleston,
not Hiddleston.
but not that Tom Huddleston. Carefully observed and consistently compelling. It feels like an instant American classic, if a minor one. There you go. So in the end here, more fresh than not, and people think this. They're looking at it at least through some of the reviews we've seen. Like Leonard Maltin says, it's ambitious and unusual to say the least, but I think it works because it's honest. Definitely true. It's an honest film. There's no doubt about it.
I think Destin was retired by now.
You know, this one has a lot of reviews. I'm still searching for the Destin dream here, but
I think he was
no.
retired.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He called it quits. Yeah, no Destin. It's Trav. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone, we usually give his. The Place Beyond the Pines is a beast of a movie, an emotional roller coaster with threatens to go off the rails and does.
You know what I've noticed reading all these, or just in general, is that there's such a a language that is like designed for movie reviews that is totally, obviously totally unoriginal. It's packaged for people to decide whether or not they're going to see it or not. So it's basically telling you if you should buy this product, but there's nothing. That's what they look at it like such a, like the roller coaster, emotional roller. I think I actually read that exact phrase in multiple reviews. Almost every review that I read seemed like a repeat of the previous one, and it's so hyperbolic at this point.
Well, they're all seeing it at the same junket, so they're probably
That
a
is
month
true.
together, and someone's
They're
like,
all
"Oh,
talking.
emotional
Yeah.
roller coaster. Well, that was an emotional roller coaster. Well, that was an emotional roller coaster. Pass me the beans."
Yes.
I just want to say this one real quick. Overlong and underconceived, period.
Brilliant.
That's from
Absolutely.
Variety. That's from
Absolutely
Variety.
brilliant.
So.
Yeah, a variety of nitwits that fucking work over there. Apparently,
I feel like Luke is showing his hand already. He's got strong emotions about this movie.
I had strong emotions about the fucking reaction to this movie. It's one of the first movies I've watched and then read the reviews and had like such an emotional reaction just to the reviews and the approach.
Wow. Okay.
Because there's literally no review that I read, like maybe 10 or 15 reviews. Not a single one seemed to plumb the depths of the film, give it, anything more than basically a byline for a fucking Rotten Tomatoes.
We're 3/4 of an hour in. Let's start.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
Well, look, I was just going to say that. Look, I want to let's do the characters real quick. Like, give tribute to the actors because there's a lot of topics in this movie that I want to cover. So, Ryan Gosling, amazing, right? Bradley Cooper, amazing. Evan Mendes, amazing. Everybody's great in this. Nobody's not good in it, right?
There's not bad acting in this movie, except Bradley Cooper crying at the end is not convincing.
Yeah, it's terrible.
When he's on his knees, it's not good. It's some of the worst acting I think I've seen Cooper do.
Holy shit! Okay.
I other than that, I think that his acting is strong in it, and that all the acting is strong in it. I actually this time watching, I was like, wow, the guy that plays Cooper's kid. He did Emery something or other. He did a really nice job as well. The whole you coming to the party tonight? Yeah. You copping hoxies for me? Yeah. Like he was just like really convincing. Like the kid, like I was like, fuck, I hate this guy, but like I believe him.
Okay. Good. Yes.
Absolutely.
Beautifully acted film for the most part, despite the crying didn't go over well. And I love this cast, like Bruce Greenwood, Harris Yulin. These are some of my favorite, like. Not always the main star guys, and not character actors either, in my opinion. Although Harris Yulin could be considered a character actor, but I love the casting in this film. Everybody plays their role to a T.
Mahershala Ali, we haven't mentioned
exactly. We didn't even mention his name yet.
Just
so
pops in there, just being great.
Just gets bashed with the wrench. No big deal.
Properly referencing Empire.
Right. So there's a lot of great actors. No argument here, except for the crying, but. Where do you want to start? I mean, Travis, you picked this movie, so there must have been a lot of things that got you thinking about this film. What is the area of focus? Because there's so many that I can think of. I'll let you go. Wherever you want.
I think what stands out to me most about this movie is the tripartite structure and the fact that it gives me an opportunity to use the word tripartite.
Triumvirate.
No, but I think it's so bold. I can't think of another movie that's not an anthology movie that does a story quite like this. It doesn't like follow like a gun or a $20 bill or something. It's following like these actions, these choices and the consequences of them and how they play out over like through different lives and over generations.
It kind of reminded me of Waves a little bit in the structure.
I could totally see that. Yeah. Waves I didn't think of it and I should have, but it was really one of the only movies I can think of that would match. Yeah.
Yes.
And that you're following one character, then suddenly we're going this way now.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I think stands out to me most about it and why I wanted to revisit it, because it felt really brave to me and unique and it could have like hard to pull off and I feel like they pulled it off.
Luke?
Oh man, we looking for a capsule review?
No, I'm not looking for a capsule review. We're continuing the conversation.
Thoughts? Do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I do have thoughts.
The tripartite nature of the whole thing.
I love the opportunity to use triptych as well, because I was thinking of that, and I did read an interview with the director, and he said it was supposed to be a triptych, and I was like celebrating by myself. No one was around. No one's around to appreciate that. I couldn't believe. Yeah, whenever you nail it, it's really exciting. So I did want to, right off the bat, the kid that plays Bradley Cooper's son, I don't know that kid's name. I should have looked him up. That was probably one of the greatest performances, unless that's just how he talks. If that's how he talks and that's who he is, then fine. He's a great non-actor. But I was so like just irritated and embroiled in this guy's, what's his name?
Emery Cohen.
Good old Emery Cohen.
He hasn't done much else. Something called Lords of Chaos, where he plays like like one of the guys that start Norwegian death metal. So I'm gonna have to check that out.
I guess that makes sense. That perform, I couldn't. I was seriously I was in awe of that kid. Like that's some of the best acting I've ever seen.
The movie's crowded with fantastic acting, and this kind of nobody kid really does shine really well.
Oh, he was in Brooklyn.
He was in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
he was amazing.
This was also an earlier introduction to me, for me, to Ben Mendelsohn. Just the way he walks in this movie, even like he's so like he's like I've known some kind of hillbilly types, and the dude hung out with them. Like they lead with their belly, just like the way he walks. Like the arms are kind of like palms out, and he leads with his belly everywhere he goes, and that's just like what he does. And I've never seen him do that in any other movie before, but that's how this character moves, and it's subtle, but like. Man, Mendelsohn, he's so good.
That's an interesting thing to pick up on, because it's almost simian. It reminded me of Klaus Kinski when he was told to kind of walk like a crab for Aguirre, the Wrath of God, and you see it. You know, he has this kind of like his body's falling apart, and his suit is what's keeping him together. And yeah, Ben Mendelsohn had the affect, but it was so natural.
Yeah. The first time I saw Mendelsohn was the year this movie came out, but I didn't see this movie. It was in
Killing Them Softly.
That's right.
Yeah,
very good.
That was my
first time too.
I saw.
He plays
this movie like back to back.
So gross in that movie. Sweaty heroin addict with these dogs that are shitting. Oh my god! And I'm like, who's this guy? And then Bloodline came out right after that, and I was like, dude. Oh, that's how I really got to connect with him. But
you know what else really stood out to me in this movie that didn't stand out to me the previous two viewings was Rose Byrne. I thought that she was so natural in this, and just so like the dinner scene, like you can see her like kind of like trying to assert her dominance and like protect her husband, and like also like not ruffle feathers and like not get him in trouble with his new boss or whatever Leota was, and like there's like so much going on at once, and like Leota's like just being like the classic prick that he can play so well. But yeah, I thought she really stood out to me in this movie as well this time. Like, damn, she's fucking good.
That very particular scene is incredible. Yeah, the way she accommodates them and makes the evening like harmonious, even though she's sitting at a table with a bunch of criminals.
Yeah, Rose Byrne's been in some bunch of dumb comedies lately and stuff, so I'm glad to go back and see her in this in like a more serious, dramatic type performance where I'm like, oh, yeah, she can act. Well done.
I mean, she's got like 2 minutes worth of screen time, but she makes it count.
She does.
No, she does. Yeah. And she deserves credit for that. Well done. So, fatherhood. This film's about fatherhood, I heard. Somebody said something about parenting.
It seems like there might be a theme of fatherhood here.
Is it a Spielberg movie?
Is it a Marvel movie?
Only if the child actually kills the father.
Look, I like that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go, please.
I like that so much of the movie is about this kind of shitty person. Not a shitty person. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, Gosling plays a shitty person. Luke's a bad person, but he wants to be a good father, and he wants.
Real quick. Ryan Gosling's character name,
Luke.
Is Luke. Thank you.
So he wants to be. He might not be a good person, but he wants to be a good father, and he wants to be in this kid's life, and he's going to do almost anything he can to be in the kid's life. And then you have this person, Avery, Bradley Cooper's character, who is like ostensibly a good person. He's a hero, and publicly he's like this great face, but he's kind of a shitbag and self-serving and not that awesome. And he spends much of the movie trying to avoid his son. I thought this mirror of their two lives was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely.
Gosling's trying to be this good guy for a minute, though, but it's so brief. He's crying in the back of the church, and his intentions, what he's doing is improper, showing up at the house before things get really bogus. Like, he's just so motivated by his own pain and to not have what happened to him happen to his kid once he finds out that that's his child, that he starts just like, the rest of the world just gets blacked out for him in a sense, and he just narrows in on it.
It literally gets blacked out because he spray paints over the heartthrobs on the front of his bike, right? And the heartthrobs is the name of his Daredevil crew, and it's also what he's got tattooed in his own handwriting across his neck. So clearly, the heartthrobs was like his whole identity. Like, everything's tied up to this being this carny stunt rider guy. And the night he finds out he's a father, it's like, I'm done. I'm quitting. This whole life is over. And then when he commits to I'm going to get money for my son any way I can, which, by the way, 14 grand, like, it's so depressing. Like, the small amounts of money that someone would view as like changing their son's life. It's so depressing.
Yeah.
But, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
then he
you go
sprays
ahead.
he sprays over the heartthrobs thing, and I'm like, oh, like, it's brutal. He's like the leading part of himself. Go ahead, Luke. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, great points. Really great points. I think the point you made about the way they are as fathers is so interesting. I missed that. I missed that point that, Bradley Cooper, terrible father, but more or less, good guy in the context of whatever it is he's doing. He's a career opportunist and all that. And Ryan Gosling being obviously just somebody who has no career, and he's completely wayward and is a good father, at least intends to be. That's an interesting juxtaposition I didn't think about. I had taken a note on this, that it reminded me of the intro, the beginning of this film reminded me of the beginning of There Will Be Blood. I know that's a little odd, but in There Will Be Blood, you start in the darkness. Yep. Amazing. You start in darkness. You start in the internal struggle, the depths of the struggle, the psyche, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. And this had a very similar feel to me. Obviously, it's not the same scene, but there's just this detachment you have from him. You're merely an observer. You don't feel like you can even relate in any possible way. I feel like this movie does an amazing job of keeping you at a distance at all time, and it's not nearly as judgmental of the Luke character as I thought it would be. I really was surprised to feel that kind of, I don't know, a sense of objectivity with it. But he goes immediately into the kind of carny, what do you call them, the tents, and then goes into the iron ball and he's in this iron ball spinning in fucking circles. I mean, is there a better fucking, allegory for like just what it is like to live in a capitalist society? I thought that was amazing. And that's also the same as, to me, it's very similar to the fucking hole that, Daniel Day-Lewis is digging or Daniel Plainview is digging in There Will Be Blood.
That's a great comparison.
It's in plain sight. Ha 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 ha! I'm so funny.
God, I hate you.
I was surprised how it went down. I really wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting Gosling to be done. Like, oh, that's it. Gosling's done in this movie.
Like, he's really fucking dead. It's like Psycho.
Yeah.
Like he's literally like, you're like, wait, what? His eyes are open. Like his brains are out. Like, is he coming back somehow?
It's a first time viewer. You're like, what? Shit.
I kept looking for the ambulance.
Yeah. I thought there'd be like, I saw some other photos online when I was like preparing for this episode and stuff of like, that I didn't see in the movie of him and Eva Mendes and like a kid together, maybe outside of the parts I had already seen. So I thought, oh yeah, there's going to be a whole life. They're going to go. The whole dream that he lays out at the restaurant to her doesn't happen at all. And I thought it really was. And there's going to be this wild ride. And it was interesting. I think it's cool to be thrown by movies, and I want to give it credit for doing so.
I like surprises. I like twists and turns.
I'm very, I've seen everything. It's hard to sometimes to really surprise you, and it really surprised me.
Imagine this movie if either Bradley Cooper wasn't famous or if it was some no-name instead of Bradley Cooper. Because for one, I love that chase scene because you're following this other cop first, and you're not following, and he's following, Luke on the bike, and you're not in Luke's perspective. You're in the cop's perspective. This one-off cop who's just like in the one scene, and it's almost like Children of Men, like this great, like really graphic, realistic kind of bike and car chase. And then you switch over to this other cop car, and if it had been like somebody who wasn't super famous and like second build alongside Ryan Gosling, like you wouldn't know. You'd be like, this is just part of it. And then like all of a sudden that cop would kill, you're the hero, and you'd be like, what the fuck? We're following this guy still? What is even happening? I mean, it's still, even as it is, it's still really cool. But just imagine how weird it would be if Cooper wasn't famous yet.
No shit. Yeah.
That's
so
a
did,
great
by the way,
point.
did Gosling, it is a good point. Did Gosling really, because I didn't see an edit cut on that. Did he really drive in the cage on that motorcycle?
I checked. He did not. It's just really well done. The only drive, I looked into this.
I was looking at that too. I was looking for the cut.
Because it's really, really well done in the beginning. I'm like, holy fuck, is he doing that? But it turns out that like what they had to do, since he's like at the time in 2012 one of the biggest stars in the world, they had to like record
not
him.
anymore, and he's over.
He's done. No, I'm just kidding. But he's not producing like he was. Kind of think by choice actually. But anyways. So they recorded him on a bike going 3 miles an hour. Then they recorded him and send it off to like the studios, be like, okay, what do you think? And they're like, okay, you can let him go at 6 miles an hour. So they recorded him on a bike going at 6 miles an hour. Then like at 12, and all of it was for the scene of him escaping from the bank, where he's going and he goes down the middle lane, and then he pulls into the truck, and Mendelsohn that whole bit, because it's really clearly his face, and he does it. But when he goes into the cage, like it's a really good cut.
Yeah, I have no idea how they pulled that shit off, because
I
was
see his face through the cage.
Yeah, I was watching this shit closely, and I was like, they got to cut away. They have to cut away. There's no way to do this. But obviously, you can't have a $1 million guy like that.
Can you imagine?
No.
Risking his life like every other
Cruise,
person out there. Yeah.
So what about the time jump though? 15 years later, all of a sudden, poof, 15 years, and I'm like, I don't like when there's massive time jumps in movies and they try to continue a story, because sometimes I think it's a challenge to do that. But I give the story credit for pulling it off for the most part. Any thoughts on this?
For the most part, I think out of the three stories, I find the third the weakest. Not because of Dane DeHaan's acting. I think DeHaan is a really solid actor, and as we discussed, this Emery Cohen fellow is fantastic. But I think it's for kind of the reason that you say. Sometimes it's hard to jump ahead that much in a story, because you're still looking at, you're like, Rose Byrne looking pretty good after 15 years. Hey, couldn't put any fake gray hair in Cooper's hair, something, beef him up a little bit, put him on a Wendy's diet for the month before recording this, something.
Yeah, he looked better and younger.
He looked more confident and stronger and sexier. Yeah, come on.
Yeah. But and also I kind of liked I really like the fact that this is a period, 2/3 of it is a period movie without being overtly beating you over the head. Like, hey, we're in the mid 90s, but like it's mid to late 90s when it's taking place in the first 2/3 of the movie, and it's well done.
So it takes place in the mid to late 90s. That I was trying to figure that out. I
can't promise you that, but I mean,
it was 15 years basically prior to 2012.
Right. And they're all wearing like high-waisted stonewash and like, like windbreakers and shit.
God, I've just seen so many hipsters wearing, cut sleeve Metallica shirts and shit that I just assumed, I don't know, it was weird. It's like I was in a weird time warp. I couldn't pin it as
the Black Album was huge, man. They went mainstream.
It was filmed in 2012 or 2011, so it's certainly going to look kind of like that. But
I'm guessing now the end of that movie is present time in 2012. So minus 15 years, that puts you in the 90s.
Right.
Which makes perfect sense. I just didn't catch that really while watching it.
You know what I didn't like about this movie is I try to avoid this stuff in my own life and these types of people, and I really was not interested in when he shows up with the crib and all the toys after they rob the bank the first time, and he's just in the house.
Yeah.
And they come home, and
Balls.
this classic, like, just trash fest ensues.
Yeah.
You know, an argument is
Servants.
boiling. And Mahershala Ali's like, "You're cool with this?" And she's like, just kind of blowing it off. She doesn't know what to do. She's torn, and this guy's putting a lot of pressure on her. It's not cool. And then he ends up just bashing the guy in the face. And I'm like,
One whack.
yeah. And they made, that's what I
No,
love.
it's with a wrench.
That's what
Wrench.
really brought me into this movie, is because that is a big deal. If you hit a guy in the face with a wrench just one time,
Yeah.
that's a major crime.
You don't
And
have to beat him. Right. It doesn't have to be a big
No.
scene.
Yeah.
One
doesn't have
whack
to
in the
be like
face is going to fuck you up with a wrench.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
that's assault and
Hollywoodized
battery.
or something.
Right.
Yeah, it is. And he goes right to jail and stuff. I'm like, oh, wow, this guy's really trying to ground us in reality. It grounded me so much that I got uncomfortable being a part of the experience with their drama and their bullshit.
Dude,
Yes,
Blue
and that is-
Valentine.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is exactly, that's one of the biggest things I want to say about this is they skip over all the nonsense that you normally like. So normally a movie like about police corruption, the whole movie would be about corruption. This happens when he meets Ray Liotta to when like he fucking gets him cuffed. I mean, this is like a
20-minute episode.
fucking, yeah, it's nothing. They skip right over it because you do not need the details. It does not fucking matter. And when he hits Mahershala Ali with that fucking wrench, it is, yeah, literally the next scene. He's going to jail.
You know what
Why
happened.
do I need? Yeah, why do I need a bunch of people screaming and crying and yelling at each other? So he extracts all this or he takes all this melodrama out of it and extracts real drama from it. I
Yeah.
think it was really brilliantly structured that way. I fucking loved that. He could have spent 2 hours on that stupid fucking conflict between him and Mahershala Ali, but he didn't.
I mean, this is a 2.5 hour movie, so it's not like it blows by. But I mean, it's an epic tale. You're telling the lives of 3 different individuals, pretty much.
Generational, yeah. It's
Right.
a generational epic.
So you have to move it along at a fast clip, but you have to be like emotionally grounded. And like there's these constant like moral conundrums that the characters find themselves in that you are like on their side or kind of like judging them and one or the other, but you're invested because there's just kind of constantly always something going on. Like you say, it's almost like I said, it's almost episodic, but like you said, it's just like a brief thing with the police corruption. It's a brief thing with the drugs and the kids. It's like a brief thing with really like you might think of this movie as a bank heist movie, but there's the bank heists are over pretty quickly. Although you might also think of this movie as a comedy because every time Ryan Gosling tells somebody, "Get the fuck out!"
It would have played a lot more comedic if it was like a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
But because there's so much seriousness to it and there's such aspirations,
Right.
you can feel it in the film that there is something. It's so dark. It's so much despair in that. Like you want to laugh, but you're like you can hear the last breath of this guy squeaking out of his mouth while he's trying to steal like $6,000 from a
Right.
bank
And
on his way to his own death sentence.
Right. And while I'm laughing at it, like it's actually a super brave acting choice. Like it'd be easier to be like a cool badass, be like, everybody down in the crowd, but he's so vulnerable. Like you're like, fuck, dude, like what
Yes.
are you doing? Like you're not like, hey, cool
Yeah.
bank robber guy. You're like, what are you doing?
They
What are
make
you
all
doing
bank
right now?"
robbers to be such pros in the movies all the time. Like, oh, we know exactly what we're doing. We're cool. We took a bunch of Xanax. We're calm and collected.
Right.
Yeah, this guy forgot
No,
when
it
he forgets the
feels improvised.
sunglasses.
Forgets his
Yeah,
fucking
it
mask.
does.
Yeah.
When he agonizes over the sunglasses and he's like, and he still does it. That's what happens. You make mistakes and you're desperate. These things happen in momentary flashes. That's why I love this film in a sense, because it just makes the reality of choices that happen in a heartbeat. Kind of like, I know this is not maybe fair, but Bully. I know I said I watched Bully last week. These people made these choices in a moment of immaturity, foolishness, and naivete, and then it's done, and you can't undo it. And
So a kind of, you guys may have already heard about this, but a kind of famous incident from this movie was that Ryan Gosling made the choice as an actor to have the dagger and the blood tattooed under his eye. And then he filmed for like 3 or 4 days and then was like, saw the dailies. He was like, "Fuck,
Shit,
Derek."
I need sunglasses.
He's like, "This is awful. Can we redo this? I don't want the character to have this tattoo on the face. Like it's distracting. I don't think it's good." And Derek, was like, "Hey man, this whole movie is about choices and making them and the consequences of them. So you're sticking with it." And he's like, "Okay." It's pretty cool.
Have you guys seen? Have you ever seen anything from Takeshi Kitano? Beat Takeshi. So he's a Japanese director. This would be super quick, but he's done a bunch of movies, lots of masterpieces. A great one is Fireworks. I'll just throw that out there. But he has the same kind of the economy of narrative where there's just a jump cut from like a violent act to like the consequence. Yeah. It flattens the our kind of narrative expectations completely, and it doesn't allow us to sit there and contemplate what we would do, what's right and what's wrong. We don't have that. There is no luxury of sitting around and intellectualizing about it, or your preferences are not acknowledged. None of that matters. It is a flattened sequence of action and reaction. And that is so powerful.
And he's such a talent. Like, and when this came out, between this and Blue Valentine, I was like, this guy's really going somewhere. Like this, Derek Chan is like something else. But it turns out like he's done very little since then. He did The Light Between Oceans, which I just looked up just now, which I vaguely remember coming out, some Michael Fassbender, Alicia Vikander movie in 2016. And then he's involved in this the new Mark Ruffalo show, I Know This Much Is True, which I'm interested in. But like he's been pretty absent for someone that really I thought made a huge splash. But he co-wrote or the story Sound of Metal was by him too, which is obviously doing pretty well.
I think his general style is. It's emotionally very taxing, and a lot of people, like Mike and I, are both saying we were sitting here looking at this movie. Both want to watch it. Both of us didn't watch it until we had to.
No, you're right.
And it is no reason for me to not do that, other than like I expected already that this was going to be worth the time, and I just was like, do I have the freaking emotional capacity for this right now?
And you were right. I mean, and that it's emotionally taxing, especially if you'd seen Blue Valentine before. And
I have not seen that, and that one really makes me want to like pause because it's amazing.
Intense. I think Michelle Williams is one of the better actors working. I make no secret about that. But like this, like if you like this, you should definitely check that out.
Yeah, no, I will be. I will definitely be.
Oh, he will. We all know you will, Luke.
Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
That's right. We're getting close to the end here. We start to think about how we feel about this movie, and maybe some of it's already on our sleeve. I was really surprised, though, that the two kids were, again, another surprise. The two kids hanging out happen to be the exact two kids that are connected from the past.
Destiny. Seems like again.
Yeah, is that what they're trying to do here? Is that what he's trying to tell me?
I don't know if that's what he's trying to tell you, but there's no other explanation. I mean, otherwise... I
mean, they're in the same town. Schenectady is a decent-sized city. It's not like some tiny town either, but it's not like...
What did you get? Huge. What did you get from it, though? Mike, what were you saying? You were like, am I supposed to... like?
Yeah, am I supposed to...
I mean, what am
I supposed to take from that? That, like, this is just randomness? Or
I think
Travis is saying it's destiny, that these people were going to connect again because, the things we do, they have, there's always something due at the end. There are generational elements here, and I for a brief moment I was like irritated. Like, okay, so coincidence is bringing people together in a super artificial way, but I was like, nope, it's different because this has a purpose. In Crash, if you remember Crash, a Oscar-winning movie from 2005, coincidence is what drives the entire narrative. Without coincidence, you have no story at all.
Yeah,
and
that's not the case here. Choices here.
Exactly. This is literally a choice to show you the like conflict between these two characters and the like gravity, the historical gravity of their histories.
That's a great point because life does offer bizarre circumstances.
And I immediately forgave it. I immediately forgave the coincidental thing because that's not exactly.
the whole McLean guy who had fucking, he had the Civil War break out in his front lawn and he moves to Appomattox. Like, weird shit happens to people, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But this story isn't about coincidence because ultimately, like, it could have
It's
ended
about
almost
destiny.
right. Well, and it's and choices because it could have ended there,
Mhm.
but like for instance, when Bradley Cooper figures out who his son has been hanging out with, and he like fucking throws him against the wall. It's like anybody but him, hang out with anybody but him. And he's like, oh well, I'm gonna hang out with him. I'm gonna
Yeah.
exploit him and then hospitalize him.
It's opposite. of
Right.
what
So
he could've said.
he makes these choices that
Mm.
like, if he'd listened to his father, so the circumstances, like, okay, that's random, that's coincidental, but like the fact that he makes these choices, like because
Gives
of
him
his
an out.
father.
He
Right,
gives
like,
him an out. He gives him a chance to bow out.
but
But he
instead he makes these
refused.
choices, and then Dahan or whatever Jason makes these choices to be like, I'm gonna like I got all this rage built up in me from my missing father my whole life, and the fact that I knew nothing about him the whole time. I'm a criminal. I guess I got I'm good at motorcycles too. Maybe I don't know, but I'm angry, and so now I'm going to act on that. So there is coincidence in this movie, no doubt, but
Mhm.
again, it's the choices that they make.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes, there's a bill
nail on
that's
the
always
head.
due, man. You can't just have children and you can't just do things and disappear and have severed relationships and have no consequences from these things. There are things that will eventually surface. We all ask ourselves why we're here. We all wonder the meaning of life and stuff.
What
So
am
if
I
you don't have
doing
a
here? How long have I got?
Exactly. If we have a parent that's missing and there's a story that we could maybe learn or glean from our own other parent who would know about that but won't tell us. I mean, these are things that you're naturally going to want to know about, and it's well done. It's well done.
Yeah, that's. I don't know, like how close we are to wrapping up here, but I
We
feel like
are
it'd be
momentarily.
remiss. Okay, I feel like it'd be remiss if I didn't actually mention the themes I really like, got hooked on. I guess were yeah. So I mean, with the Ryan Gosling character, for sure, Luke's story to me was the most interesting, probably the one I wanted to sit with the longest because I'm less interested in things like police corruption. That's such a function of just natural, the organization of that institution. But looking at what makes him so intriguing to me is the absence of what is. It's not what he is. It's what you don't know about him. He is just this endless black hole. It's just a mystery, and he's not simply just somebody that is reacting. He's not a animalistic or something in that way. I don't know, maybe he is, but there's like a history there. You can feel the history. It feels real. There's a real material impact and force, and there is an imminent violence in him. It's coming. I mean, you can see it. It is written on his body, and it is kind of written in his clothing. I mean, he is in tatters at all times. But I had this thought that this is like the beginning of the march to the Capitol building on January 6th. I mean, this is like a disaffected, lost guy that I could easily see being radicalized on Stormfront. He is so nonchalant about taking on bank robbery to supply, the necessities for his family. He's willing to do it. But also, I think the main point is that there is pure fucking economic despair in Schenectady, however you fucking say it. And is it Grub? Is that what Ben Mendelsohn's name is? I think is it Grub?
Hey, Grub.
No, it's Robin.
Is it Robin? I
You
swear to
thinking
God.
of Dirt Grub from It's Always Sunny. Dirt Grub.
His name's
Well,
Robin.
so one of the first things he says to him is "Good luck supporting a family on minimum wage," and that right there is like the fucking nail that pins the whole thing down.
So
And he says, I will give you work, but I do not have any business. I'll
That's one of
pay you, but I can't.
that's one of the things I really liked about Mendelssohn's character, Robin.
Amazing.
Is that he's like preying on him. Like he sees what a good biker he is in the forest, and like very deliberately like sets him up in a way, and like I'm gonna like he always had, you could like, he very clearly has like this plan. Like he's robbed banks before. He's got this idea. He's gonna like use this guy basically. And Ryan Gosling, to me, is fascinating how quickly they become friends, because he's got like nothing. So he's like we don't have to talk about shit. We could just be friends.
And, I mean,
I'll live with you. Who fucking cares?
It is true, but he's so good. I don't know. When he finds out that Gosling has gone out on his own, and I forget what the actual betrayal was or whatever, where
he was destroying the bike, because the bike is part of
then he destroys the bike. Yeah.
Right.
But he is genuinely disappointed. He is genuinely let down. He is the surrogate father, but I do appreciate that this film does not sink into that theme too much. And then when the kid comes, Jason comes to visit Ben Mendelsohn, and you can see his eyes light up. He's so excited about this kid that died. That was his friend.
He's like, he's a great guy. He stuck a gun in my mouth and robbed me.
But it did not feel to me, it didn't come off at all. It didn't read at all like it was like he was being manipulative. I felt like he was legitimately sad.
Yeah, I think he starts off manipulative and ends up really liking Luke.
But again, with the flattening, it's so quick,
and yet it's all delivered, like it's there, and it's all subtext mostly. It's really
given how long this movie is, the amount of narrative economy is astounding. The amount of information that another filmmaker might have done, this could have ended up being a 6-hour film.
Right?
Yeah, it could have been Heaven's Gate.
It easily could have been, because
look what Heaven's Gate did for those.
Definitely could have been that. Yeah.
Would have been a 6.5-hour movie. All right, look, it's time to do it, man. It's time to decide, does this film hold up or not? It's an interesting film that has so many facets, as you just described. Subtext alone gives you plenty of information. Luke, you're the guest of honor. Why don't you go first? Give us your final synopsis.
Yep. Well, since I've only seen it for the first time, had I seen it, I can tell you for sure I would say this holds up. I mean, I was incredibly surprised with this, and it's the most magic hour movie I have ever seen in my life. I was quite happy to look at it for 2 hours and 20 minutes.
What do you mean the most magic hour movie you've ever
seen? It's all at dawn and dusk.
Oh,
it's so
the golden hour. Yeah.
Oh, did I say magic hour? Golden hour.
It's
the most golden hour movie I've ever seen in my life.
Huh.
I actually wrote a note that says magic hour, so I definitely did not remember that it was supposed to be golden hour.
I don't know if it's supposed to be one or the other, but I think you're right. I never noticed it before, but I do believe you're right.
I feel like there's a lot of middle of the day shots in this film.
A lot of night shots.
There are so many golden hour shots. But yeah, no, I was amazed. I'm glad this was picked. I'm glad I had the opportunity to finally, and the reason to finally just sit down and watch it and stop flipping past it on, Netflix or whatever. Actually, I watched it on Peacock. So if anyone does want to watch it, it's free on Peacock.
That's where I watch it.
All right, I'll go next. This is a film called
The Place Between the Pines.
The Place Between Two Toilets. Toilets between.
It's Place betwixt
the pines.
Evergreens.
It's called Schenectady, because that's what Schenectady translates to.
God damn it.
It translates to the place. I don't know what language it is. It's some Indian
Mohawk.
Language. Is it Mohawk?
The place,
yeah.
It translates into
the place where Milky from Twin Pines Milk lives. It's a beautiful place.
Clown?
So, anyway, Milky, was that her name? I don't know. Anyways, come here, Bray Rabbit. I really enjoyed this film. It's a fantastic, outstanding effort. There's no doubt that this movie holds up because it has timeless tales again. And for me, one of the key aspects of holding up is always timelessness. A movie that you could watch in any age, any era, any time, and you could throw this on in another 20 years and say, wow, this is well done. It's excellent filmmaking. It's great writing, beautiful casting, a gorgeous movie to watch. A film that has complexities. It's not perfect or flawless, but it doesn't have to be to hold up. I kind of thought it dragged a little bit when it switches over to these two kids now in the third act-ish beginning, if we want to call it that.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit of a drag for me, but that's okay. It's a 2 hour and 20 minute movie. It's going to happen. So in the end, I think this is an outstanding film. I'm so glad I finally got to watch it. Travis really made a great choice here. I, like Luke, I'm surprised I didn't get a chance to, but now I can recommend it to others with the full knowledge and understanding that this film holds up.
All right. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention Mike Patton. I never noticed that he did the music before. Mike Patton, famously for
Really?
More. Yeah, he does the music for this, and the music's really good. There's this really, in particular, this one motif that's very sparingly used. It's just gorgeous, and it comes up like 3 or 4 times in the movie. I'm like, man, like he could have leaned on this very easily if he wanted to. Instead, he's very conservative with it. It's
Mr.
Really
Bungle,
well
huh?
Yeah, Mr. Bungle himself. So it's really well done score. I'm surprised he hasn't done more scores with as good as this was. Yeah, so speaking as the only guy that's seen this movie before, it's been a good 8 or 9 years since I've seen it, and it makes sense to me that I'm not trying to watch it over and over again because it does take a little bit of work. In that it is, I mean, like when it ended, I this is the 3rd time I watched it, but when it ended, I didn't do this the first few times, but when it ended and that Bon Iver song came up, Wolves, I just wept. I just started crying. I wasn't really expecting myself to. It's not like a super emotional ending in a way, but like the fact, like the way he just leaves without saying anything. And then the Bon Iver brings up, which very soon Bon Iver is going to become like a cliched band to end on, but not yet. Yeah, like it's an emotional movie and it's a unique movie and it absolutely holds up. I was really glad to watch it again.
I saw Bon Iver do the Wolves live at Lollapalooza. That was cool.
Yeah, you told me. I know.
Really enjoyed that. The rest of the trip sucked though. Anyways,
don't care about the band. Don't care about the band, but that last 2 seconds was, it was like a dagger. It was also relief.
Yeah,
there was a sense of relief I got. I was like,
that's why I cried.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
I think that's why. Because it's like because I didn't cry out through the rest of the movie, but it's kind of like a.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
We've all seen our cry faces. Luke, we've never seen you send a picture of us of your cry face in a movie, but please do if you ever
guys
get a
have all
chance.
seen my real. You guys have all seen my real cry face. Why the hell?
Yeah, but we want. I started.
It's bad. It's real bad.
It's funny. It's funny. That's what's funny because we can put memes on it and stuff and make memes out of it. I was surprised how funny it ended up being in the long run. Anyways, there it is. Milky's Place Beyond the Pine. I'm sorry.
Place Between the Ferns. We watched it. We talked about it.
Yep, Big Johnson Sasquatch in the woods. Thank you for listening to this. Thank you for watching, all of you live viewers. Thank you. Grateful to you, the people out there. And if you listen to the yes, there's people right now. There's literally six people at once right now watching us. So
I love you.
6 people out there right now. Thank you. And we want to thank everybody for Eric. Oh, of course, Eric Brancham's here, and we're about to reveal his pick. He loves us. Luke, you did me proud this evening. Great show. Milky lives.
Eric, rather than me,
Milky lives.
Eric, rather than if you're here, why don't you tell us what your choice for next week is?
Yeah, Eric, why don't you type it in? Type it in right here, dude. We would love for you to type it. Then we'll post it here and share it for the podcast audience.
Time to find out what Eric's choice is. Did he pick Parenthood? Did he pick Dad? Did he pick My Life?
Did he pick Ghost Dad?
What did he pick? It's a big mystery.
Come on, dude, bring it, Eric. Type it in. Type it in.
Type it in. Or else I'll look at your email. Or else I'll look at your email. Or else I'm going to look at the email.
Or else I'll look at the email. That's right. Cinnamon, hang on. Let's give this check. I think 1 second here.
How long can an average person handle a drum roll before they go
there
crazy?
It is. We got it. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2005's A History of Violence.
Holy shit.
I love this movie. I'm excited. I can already tell you. I got a feeling.
Oh, man.
Luke is so jealous. He's not going to be on next
week.
Oh, my God.
You wish you were on this podcast. You wish you were the 4th guy in this podcast. Let's be
Luke
honest.
loves Cronenberg.
That makes me so jealous.
But you enjoyed The Place Between the Pines or Beyond the Pines, whatever the fuck it's called. So,
History
of
Violence is
Eric.
a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece, and if you guys don't confer, that's going to be terrible.
Cronenberg and Vigo are meeting again too. I'm excited. All right, well, great choice, Eric. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for typing it in. Thank you for making a late appearance. Thank you to Luke Hoorelbeke for guesting
thanks, Luke.
for Eric Brancham
guys.
one more time.
Thanks all of you for listening and watching. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that matters too. Yes. Thank you to everyone. We appreciate it. Don't forget cinnamon9pod@protonmail.com if you have any thoughts on this movie or I said coffee. That'll be next week's show where we talk about A History of Violence. You can follow along with us and do it in real time. That's it for the show. Thanks, everybody.
My axes, yeah.